Guilt tripping. Guilt tripping is when the instigator makes the target feel guilty to get them to do something. It is the way they manage the feelings of loneliness, rejection, and other difficult emotions to control others. Guilt tripping is common in close relationships, such as friendships, families, and romantic relationships. An example would be if a friend wanted to hang out but you're busy, so they'll say something along the lines of, "I'll just spend the day by myself," in hopes of getting you to change your mind. Gaslighting. Gaslamping involves intentionally lying or warping reality to cause self-doubt within the victim. Over time, the victim's perception will be manipulated by the ringleader to fit their agenda. The terminology came from the 1994 film Gaslight, where there's a husband that gradually causes his wife to go insane by dimming the lights in their house and denying anything when she notices. It is the deception of one's memory, perception of reality, and mental stability. Playing the victim. Playing the victim is a manipulation tactic that would make someone appear weak and powerless, thus enticing others to come to their aid. Some people don't even realize they're doing this because of a mentality that has developed over time to avoid accountability. People in this victimhood mentality will act as if they are the ones that have been wronged, when in actuality they are the ones that are guilty. They will divert the blame to another while in tandem seek the sympathy of others to solidify their mindset. This means of manipulation is extremely effective because whoever tries to call out the manipulator will seem like the bad guy. Love bombing. Love bombing is a type of emotional abuse that involves smothering a person with over-the-top displays of attention and affection. This is used to gain control over the other person by making them attached to the feelings of warmth and belonging and then starving them for those emotions. It is often used by narcissists in the beginning of a romantic relationship to make their partner feel like the most important person in the world, but it's not limited to that. It can also extend to family and friends. This ultimately is effective on victims that are prone to loneliness. Silent treatment. Silent treatment is also known as withholding. This is when the manipulator refuses to communicate with someone that is actively trying to communicate. This is a tactic that is used to punish or shame someone by making them feel like they did something wrong to take control of them. The best way to deal with the silent treatment is to be firm, state your boundaries, and refusing to take part of their manipulation or further progressing any situation negatively by letting your emotions take control of the conversation. Projection. Projection is a self-defense mechanism of the manipulator to claim that another person is the instigating party. It can also be recognized when the instigator projects guilt and blame by claiming that their victim did something that caused the instigator's actions. Projection is very common amongst people who tend to cause drama but blame someone else for starting it. Triangulation. Triangulation is when a toxic individual brings in a third party to gain control or power. The manipulator controls the information that is being communicated to cause the target to doubt themselves and their reality. This tactic is essentially gaslighting using an outside factor as a tool. An example would be a situation where the victim would have to choose a side or pressured into picking who's the correct person in a conflict. Blame shifting. Blame shifting is when the manipulator evades accountability by reassigning the guilt to another person. Blame shifters will often blame their actions on a source such as alcohol, their trauma, or even other people. Phrases like "I drink because of you" or "my PTSD makes me this way" are common amongst these kinds of people. Mind games. Mind games is a tactic used to undermine or mislead someone else in order to gain an advantage for the manipulator. The victim is put into a constant state of guilt even though they have done nothing wrong. Associated phrases from people who utilize mind games are "you are being selfish" or "you don't care about me." People who use these tactics want to have an upper hand in the relationship without showing any vulnerabilities or weaknesses. Isolation. Isolation is when the manipulator creates an environment to where the victim's perspectives are limited and their self-sufficiency is diminished. They will meticulously remove the victim's support system by turning them against their family and friends. In the end, the victim will be completely codependent, making the manipulator the sole source of support. Isolation is used when a toxic individual is trying to take complete control over their victims' lives. Once this happens, the manipulator will control the incoming information that the victim receives and filters it to their agenda. Peer pressure. Peer pressure is the coercion of one individual to conform. This is a powerful form of manipulation due to everyone's desire to be accepted. It is when a group would entice a person or smaller group to do something they normally would not. Peer pressure can be as harmless as everyone jumping into a pool and having fun, egging on a singular friend to join in, or have serious consequences like getting someone addicted to drugs or alcohol. Rumor-mongering. Rumor-mongering is the act of spreading malicious lies about someone's character in order to destroy their image. It is typically used as a weapon for the manipulator to attack the reputation of someone they dislike in order to achieve power or control over them. Public humiliation. Public humiliation is used by narcissists to exert their control over their victims and keep them subdued. The The manipulator will often use this tactic to feel a sense of power and devalue the opinions of their victim. Often having an inferiority complex, the manipulator will frequently humiliate others in order to boost their own egos. Economic abuse. Economic abuse is when someone is exerting their control over another's income and spending. The instigator will have control over the bank accounts of their targets. It's not limited to money. It also applies to basic necessities like food and clothing. Having complete jurisdiction over their necessities will limit the other person's capabilities to break free or get away. Mirroring. Mirroring is a psychological tactic that involves mimicking another person's tendencies, attitudes, behaviors, and speech. It is used in a way to exploit and control. Mirroring causes a person to lower their guard while creating a false sense of connection. It makes the manipulator seem empathetic and agreeable, assisting in the illusion of shared interest and experiences. This will mask the toxic behaviors that otherwise will stand out as red flags. Flattery. Flattery is particularly effective for those who love to have their egos stroked. The reason why it's so effective is everyone has insecurities and positive words can sway their judgment. The manipulator will use sweet words to lull their victims into a false sense of security before requesting things that normally would not be fulfilled. Playing dumb. Playing dumb or acting innocent is a strategy used by manipulators to lower the guard of their accusers or divert accountability. Feigning ignorance, denying knowledge, confusion, incompetence, or selective memories are all tools of playing dumb. These tendencies are for narcissists to protect their own well-being by controlling the situation. An example would be if there is a group task and the manipulator was assigned something. They would play dumb and cause major frustrations, eventually ending up with someone else taking up that task. Intimidation. Intimidation is the utilization of fear to force submission to the manipulator's will. Most of the time, skilled manipulators will be more subtle or hidden, but there are those that take a forward approach with intimidation or violence. There are variations of intimidation, where instead of force, the operator will use authority to achieve their ways, like a boss telling you to do something or you'll be fired. Ultimatums. Ultimatums are the illusion of choice to force someone into doing something or face a consequence. While prevalent in relationships, ultimatums can apply to every aspect when the manipulator feels less patient in controlling their victims. Manipulators often issue ultimatums out of fear because they are uncomfortable of unknown outcomes and would rather have a definitive answer, even if it isn't a favorable one for them. Catfishing. Catfishing is when the manipulator is living out a fantasy but wants to emotionally control others. Another use of catfishing is a social engineering attack to steal information from the target. Catfishers will use stolen pictures and fake identities to deceive the unknowing. Whether it be for ego boosting, romance, or theft, catfishing is common amongst thieves and the insecure. Love withdrawal. Love withdrawal can include the silent treatment previously mentioned, but also incorporate withholding information, affection, or even sex from their partners. By depriving the victims of their comforts, the controller uses a hostage situation with emotions until the other party caves in. Emotional blackmail. Emotional blackmail is when the exploiter finds someone's insecurities and weaponizes it to get what they want. Fear, guilt, and a sense of obligation is utilized to pressure the receiving party to comply to their demands. People who engage in emotional blackmail are often trying to counter their own insecurities because it gives them the upper hand. Fear-Mongering. Fear-Mongering is a manipulation tactic that utilizes exaggerated rumors of impending danger to cause fear. A fusion of intimidation and rumor-mongering, fear-mongering is often used to garner attention and employed in political campaigns and mass media. This is used to guide the masses into making decisions.